The stairwell started at 7. Not 7 o'clock. 7 knocks, slow and deliberate, rising through the concrete like a pulse beating in the spine of the building. The first thud rattled the picture frames in Mira's apartment, the second trembled the glass of the peephole, and by the third she was standing in the hallway, hand hovering over the doorknob like it might burn her. No one else seemed to hear it. On the group chat, 3A was posting memes, 6C was asking about packages, nobody typed the word knock. Mira pressed her ear to the door and felt the sound more than heard it. A blunt syllable traveling up the stairwell, floor by floor, as if counting backward through a life. 7, 6, 5. She ripped the chain, stepped into the corridor. The light over the elevator buzzed weakly, throwing onion-thin shadows. The stairwell door stood between the vending machine and the framed evacuation plan, the red exit stenciled like a warning she was too curious to obey. 4. She pushed it open. Warm, rebreathing air, a vertical shaft of echo and dust. The treads descended in patient switchbacks, the railing oily with fingerprints. Somewhere below, a door closed. Metal on metal, casual, human. 3. Her phone camera showed nothing except the ordinary ugliness of beige paint and gray stairs. Yet on the screen, a faint numeric ghost hovered for a second. 3, like a HUD in a game, then faded when she blinked. 2. Mira? The voice drifted up, impossible to place. Soft, like someone trying not to scare her. Don't come down, it's not for you tonight. 1. Knuckle to door, not the stairwell. Her door, from the other side of it. She froze where she stood, a few steps into the well, the elevator humming through the wall like a thing asleep. She had left the apartment door wedged open with a sneaker. Now it was closed, heel crushed under it like a trapped insect. Her keys were in the bowl by the TV. Her heart decided to learn a new rhythm. "Who is it?" she asked, voice paper thin. The peephole darkened, as if an eye had leaned into hers from the far side. A slow exhale misted the metal, then the whisper, like someone blowing ash out of a secret. 0. The bolt began to turn without her hand on it. Mira kicked the sneaker free and slammed the deadbolt from the inside, lungs sawing. The door stilled, the whisper thinned into ordinary silence, and the building returned to its small house noises, pipes murmuring, a neighbor's laugh in the vents, the scrape of a chair overhead. Her phone shook in her hand. She lifted it and recorded the door anyway, like a witness who knew she'd be doubted. On playback, nothing moved, but a timestamp overlay she hadn't added bled across the frame. 7 o'clock right, pointing arrow 000. A countdown. She scrubbed back and forth. The numbers persisted, independent of the footage. When she switched to the front camera, her own reflection wore a stranger's expression, someone who already knew the end. She went to the super's office on the ground floor. The window was dark, the door propped with a stack of paint cans, a cardboard sign, back 18-9. Beneath it, in ballpoint, another hand had scribbled, "Don't wait in the stairwell." The ink had bled like it had been written in humidity or fear. Back upstairs, she DM'd Tariq in 6C, the one who'd wired their floor with cheap Wi-Fi cams after the package thefts. "Do you have stairwell footage?" He sent a link, unlisted. The stream showed the landings in grayscale jitter, empty, still, normal. Except, if she watched long enough, every 40 seconds the image quivered, like a frame had been replaced. In the glitch, the landing rail was bent, the fire extinguisher hung crooked, and a little boy's shoe sat beside the door of 4B Blink, and it snapped back. "Bad encoder," Tariq wrote, or "ghosts LOL." She paused on the bent rail frame. The timestamp in the corner wasn't the usual. It said, floor -1. Between midnight and 1, the knocks returned, starting at 7, like a ritual she hadn't agreed to. She counted them with a pencil on a takeout menu, hands smudging the grease. On 2, her lights browned out. On 1, the peephole blackened again. She held her breath, willing her heart to be quiet in case it was the thing they were listening for. 0, the whisper didn't say. Instead, the stairwell door down the hall opened by itself, hinges moaning in a way metal shouldn't unless it remembered pain. A draft slid along the carpet, pulling the smell of old water and something scorched. Someone climbed, very lightly, as if to not disturb dust. Step, pause, step, pause. The movement stopped level with her door. A fingertip pressed the other side. She could feel it through the wood like a coin under paper. And then, not a knock, the soft tick of a switch being flipped, and every camera in the building turned toward her at once, even the ones turned off. Tariq texted, "Why is your door number reversed on cam now? It says E03, not 3E. Her apartment was 3E. On the stream it read E0. Morning broke tired and flat. In daylight, the stairwell felt like a place for groceries and awkward hellos. Still, Mira carried a pocket flashlight and the kind of courage that is really sleeplessness. She descended to the lobby. Sun pooled on the mailboxes. The super hadn't arrived. On the corkboard, a faded notice curled at the corners. Fire drill cancelled. Date from years ago. Someone had once underlined drill 3 times. She met old Mrs. Alvarez folding laundry in the basement. The woman's eyes were smoke gray, cataract rings shining like moons. "Third floor?" she said before Mira asked anything. "Don't wait by the door when it counts." "When it counts?" Mrs. Alvarez pretended to measure sheets. "The building used to have a different number of floors. That's what my husband said. He worked nights. He said sometimes the elevator would stop where the door wouldn't open because the hallway wasn't there. Just the seam of it, like lips pressed shut. They made a new floor plan after the fire. The city likes clean numbers." "What fire?" Mira whispered. But the woman gave the story everyone in every building gives. A kitchen blaze, a cigarette, a breaker that tripped and never tripped back. Names powdered into silence. "We don't talk about it. That was before your lease." She offered churros wrapped in paper and told Mira to take the elevator, not the stairs. Back in 3E, the countdown returned as soon as dusk paid rent. She recorded again. The overlay now had sound, like a digital metronome faintly ticking under her breath. The numbers were starting higher. 9 o'clock right, pointing arrow 000. At 8 she heard voices through the vent. Children practicing numbers in a whispery choir. At 5, footsteps above her where there should be roof. At 3, someone said her name with the precise pronouncing of a substitute teacher. Mira. She discovered if she opened the stairwell door on 2, everything went quiet for exactly 13 seconds. Then the building would rush in at once, past and present snapping together, bringing smells of rain that hadn't fallen today and echoes of laughter that didn't belong to current tenants. In that hush, she once saw the outline of a person on the landing below, a negative, made of warmth, not light. When she whispered hello, it climbed 1 step and stopped. "What happens at 0?" she asked the outline. "It chooses a door," it replied, in her voice. Her phone chimed. Tariq again, check group chat. Someone had posted a photo from the sidewalk. Our building, but wrong. The windows were too many. The cornice, a different year, a whole extra band of brick between the 2nd and 4th floors, as if an architect had insisted on a layer of forgetting. In the reflection of the glass, the numbers 10 right, pointing arrow 0 fell like snow. "Is this a prank?" she typed. Then the super finally wrote, "Don't be inside if it gets to one." She waited in the hallway with her phone flashlight on and the stairwell propped. The elevator was stuck at L. Its doors tried to meet and failed, bumping like a heartbeat divided into metal. The building hummed with attention. Her neighbor's TV laughter turned to static mid-giggle. The radiator clicked out more she did not know. The countdown ticked. 6, 5, 4. Every landing down looked briefly unfamiliar, like a stage set swapped between scenes. Different safety posters, yellowed exit signs, a handrail with a child's sticker still clinging. On 3, the air warmed with old summer. 2 smelled like snow. Mira descended until the temperature matched the tang in the memory she didn't remember having. Wet mittens, a siren slowing, her mother's voice saying the name of a city they didn't live in. Floor 1, the lobby, but not. The mailboxes had names she knew written in fonts she didn't. Polaroids were taped to doors. Birthdays, moving days, someone in a prom dress on the wrong decade of carpet. Her own face appeared twice. Once as a teenager blowing out a cake, once older, hair chopped short and eyes newly tired, holding a ring of keys she didn't own yet. In both images, a stairwell door behind her was open to a hall of smoke. Someone coughed somewhere that might have been a person or a building. The countdown threaded through the sound. 1. She braced for the knock. It didn't come. Instead, the lobby exit was locked from the outside, as if the city had been peeled away and replaced with a photograph of itself. The glass showed only her. Behind her, the stairwell door wanted to swing shut but hovered, unnaturally patient. A shape stood at the bottom of the well. Woman tall, mirror-shaped, but wrong in the offsets, like a photocopy of a photocopy. It tilted its head and, with polite distress, said, "You left me on the stairs last time." "I've never," she began. "You will," the shape said. "When the building resets the floor it stole, it needs someone to occupy it for balance. A placeholder between numbers. You were brave enough to listen. That makes you able enough to be kept." Mira's throat dried to dust. "What happens if I run?" "You make someone else stay." The shape lifted a hand. So did she, reflex mirroring reflex. For a second, both palms glowed, and it wasn't electricity. It was warmth, like touching the place a flame had just been. Behind the shape, a door that didn't exist unfolded its seam, revealing a hall with no right to be there. It smelled like new paint over old smoke. Rooms waited without numbers. Above them, the countdown clicked into a long, tight silence, 0 drawn out like a held breath. She could close her own door and wait out the counting. Maybe the knock would lose interest and the peephole would never darken again. People in cities live beside unasked questions all the time. It is how you keep rent small in a world that eats. But the photos in the wrong lobby, her face twice, a promise of repetitions, turned her stomach with future déjà vu. Mira stepped toward the seam door. The copy of her stepped back, making space, reluctant and relieved. It wasn't a corridor so much as a placeholder for one, a long rectangle of still air lined with doors that all had peepholes and none had numbers. The carpet felt new and old at once. When she looked at the ceiling, she saw the patch where a sprinkler had otherwise been. When she looked again, there was only plaster. A whisper sifted through like rain, looking for its past window. "You don't have to," the copy said. "Someone always does, but it does not have to be you." "Then who was it the last time?" Mira asked. The copy's smile was a heartbreakingly familiar thing. "We were." She could feel the building's attention pull taut. The exit signs bled their green into a whiter light, as if the idea of leaving had been drained of color. Somewhere above, Tariq shouted her name, the syllables bent by stairwell acoustics into mirror. From the vents, children resumed their counting in a language too young to have nouns. The number had reached the end of itself and wanted a witness to stop. Mira placed her hand on the nearest blank door. It was warm from the side that didn't exist yet. "I won't make someone else do it," she said to the air, and to the version of herself that had been brave at the wrong time. The door opened. Inside was her apartment, but not. The couch was the couch she would buy later. The plant beside the TV was alive and taller. The bowl by the door held keys that fit doors she had not met. On the table, her phone lay face up, the countdown already resetting, 10 o'clock right, pointing arrow 000. The overlay flickered, then solidified, and in its green digits she saw the calendar days roll over like cards. In the hall behind her, the copy of Mira exhaled. The placeholder corridor exhaled. The whole building loosened a knot in its throat. She knew, without the comfort of explanation, that an extra floor had slid back into place, thin, private, unpaid for, so that the rest of the building could keep pretending numbers were honest. From beyond her door, the real door, the one on a floor with a number, someone's knuckles found wood. 10. Mira lifted the chain, this time from the inside of a room that would never be mapped, and listened as the stairwell counted down for somebody else. She did not smile. She did not cry. She stood ready in the dark and whispered, to the next version of her who might be listening at a peephole, "Don't come down, it isn't for you tonight." 9. The countdown continued, patient and polite. The buildings slept, the city carried on. And the stairwell, faithful, unreported, kept its appointment with the door.